So our code is poetry, and our designs are beautiful, but our poetry doesn't get published until there's content. And if you work with clients, you wait for content. And you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And you wait some more. So today, I want to talk about how you can create the content for your clients, even if your client is inside your company. So you don't have to wait, and you can ensure that the quality is high, and this is an additional service you can provide. I've been doing this a long time, and we have created a process that is repeatable. There's no magic. Anyone can do this. And, well, I hope you enjoy what I'm going to show you. And I'll try to keep it short so we have time for questions at the end. Every company starts with a marketing strategy. They launch their product. They've got the perfect strategy. And a few months and years go by, and they start trying all different things, and their strategy becomes this mishmash of different things. And then they want to build a new website. And this is their perfect opportunity to really focus their marketing strategy. And this is where we begin with clients, because it's critical for our work. Just as important, it's critical for them because they will get on the same page again like they once were. We do not create marketing plans for clients. We work with clients to help them create the plan. We help them bring it into the world like they are giving birth to a baby. And because of this, they are always proud parents of the marketing strategy. It is theirs. It is never ours. So because it's theirs, it lasts. When someone comes and goes and they change jobs and a new person comes in, we don't get fired because, oh, we were the old people with that old strategy. It's their strategy. And it's actually more fun for us to do it this way. We start all strategy with a brainstorming session, which is a lot of fun for the clients, and we get a lot of good information. Some people call these customer personas, customer profiles. But the exercise you do with your client is to have them imagine one specific person, their perfect customer, Goran, and they're going to make a customer profile for Goran. What does Goran think? What does he see every day at work and at home? What does he hear from other people? And what does he say? And you can see from a board like this that everyone on the team can participate in this. And it's a giant brainstorming session, and it helps them focus on the customer instead of focusing on their company, because ultimately the customer is the user of this website. So you can do this for one customer, for another customer, and a third customer. 3 is a really good number to start with. Then you brainstorm on their business goals. What are their business goals? And you let everyone have a say, just like before. Everyone puts the stickers on the board. What should be the goals for our business? Should we have goals that are achievable? Should we have really crazy, ambitious stretch goals? And then you vote on these goals. Whoop. You write all these down, and then you vote on the goals. And ultimately, the goal that is the top priority for the organization, we can discuss how is that a priority for the website. And we have the second goal and the third goal. And suddenly, we have a clear path for our marketing strategy. And if it seems too simple, it's because it is simple. And I think over the years, people in marketing, we have these jargony names for things that are, trying to make things sound more important than they are. Really, we're helping the client see and find their path. And this is where we begin on content for the website. Today I'm going to talk only about written content. I'm not going to talk about video, but the way that we write things is also the way you can storyboard things. How we write, it's not poetry, it's actually a process. And if you can write your native language, you can write for websites. We start with wireframes that we hand sketch. We don't do anything fancy. We just write it out on pieces of board, and then we take those boards to real people to get their initial reaction. And I call this draft 0. The client hasn't even seen this yet. It's just so we can get that initial information. And I am always, always surprised at what I learn during draft 0. We show this to people outside the company who are not friends and not family in the companies, but real human beings that have never heard of this product or this company. We go to coffee shops. In fact, I've been to more coffee shops in Silicon Valley than I care to count. And if we're working with a hospital client, we'll go to the coffee shop in the hospital, But the point is, if you don't have a large budget, you don't have to spend a lot of money on this. I asked a question before of Dario, would you get doctors to do usability testing on a website for doctors? And he said yes. And yes, you would. But if you want to talk to a doctor, he's going to want $100 or $200 or $300 an hour for his time. So let me start in the coffee shop. I have stacks of cards like this. And I'll sit there and I'll say, I'll give you a $5 card if you sit down and look at this webpage with me. And people are in the coffee shop, they're bored. A lot of people will say no. It's surprising, but maybe 1 in 4 say yes. And I mean, literally, I have 2-inch stacks of these usually wherever I go. And I just hand them out. If you talk to me longer, you get more cards. I don't care. First thing I do is the 5-second test. I show them my poster for 5 seconds, then I turn it around. And this is really critical because if someone doesn't understand what this product or company does in 5 seconds, they're going to bounce off the page. And that's why companies have high bounce rates, because people see something and it's very confusing to them. And it's confusing because companies speak to themselves in their own weird languages. They don't speak to normal people. After the 5-second test, I start asking deeper questions. Do you understand what this is? And again, a lot of humility here. I just sit back and ask. I don't explain to them what it is. I just ask, what do you think this was? Again, simple stuff. Anyone who's a designer or a developer can start copy testing with this process. Then I'll show them a few more pages, and I'll ask other questions. What is this about? Who is this for? And then I'll ask, how is it that you clicked that button? And here's a little linguistic trick. I never ask anybody why. I never ask, why did you do that? Because why puts people on the defensive and it gets them all like, she's asking me why. So I keep it simple and I record all these things on a little recorder. And now I have data. And here's the beautiful thing about data. People can't argue with it. People can't say, my husband thinks he has a better idea for our tagline. And the lawyers can't say, you really should say it this way. And believe me, I talk to lawyers all the time. And do this, this makes, by the way, when you do this and you present it to the company, they're just amazed. They think this is like gold, and it is gold. This is gold to them because they're getting outside of their circle of thought. And this is the process, and we do it over and over and over again. We do it 3 times because we pretty much do 3 drafts of each. We do 2 drafts, and then sometimes we do extra drafts. We charge extra for extra drafts. Okay. Some tools we use in this, we use Google Sheets. These are free, of course. We use Trello boards. We use Canva. We use the pro version, but there's a free version that we use to make designs that we stick on our little poster boards when we go to the coffee shops. And we use Oasis Workflow, which is a plugin for drafting and editing and reviewing copy for pages and posts. So, we love working with WordPress. We think WordPress is any company that's focused on marketing should have WordPress, because with WordPress, marketers can own the website and the marketing. And there's lots of things they can do with landing pages, capturing emails, without having to go through informatics and engineering. As much as we love it, we do it for the money. So, we typically price per page. If the page has 5 words or 500 words, it's the same price. We price per page. We find it all averages out in the end. Price changes depending on the size of the company. So if it's a hospital company, if it's a hospital, and I know there's multiple people involved, and there's many layers, and there's legal review, and then I have to have a government review, that costs a lot more than doing a website for our friend who's a lawyer who has a single office. But for a typical project, this is how we break down the pricing. This is how we do our estimates. So if you're a designer, you're 25% of the pie in my brain. Developers get the bigger piece of the pie, right? And content, we typically put that at about 25% of the pie. Even on a small website, we have all these pieces. Because we're not going to do a website where we don't have a quality designer, and we're not going to be involved in a website where we don't have quality content. So you can plug in any amount for this, right? So if this is a $1,000 website, then the content is $250. If it's a $10,000 website, the content is $2,500. So one day, I hope to work on a $100,000 website. And then the content's going to be $25,000. But we'll see. Clients like to comparison shop. You know, well, let's compare this firm to that firm and see what we get. We'll invite them all in. So one thing we do to keep clients from comparison shopping us against other firms, we comparison shop against ourselves. And we give them 3 packages to choose from. One is the economy model, that is kind of bare bones, right? Then we have the typical model. This would be a typical package for someone in your industry, you know, based on who you tell us your competitors are. And then we have the top of the line luxury model, which would be advanced, forward-thinking design, new ideas, and something that will really stand out. And a lot of people like that. They like the big truck. You know, you're not always the only person being considered, but this shows that you're considering their needs and their budgets, keeps them around. Another thing we do when we issue a proposal is we tell clients, when you're ready to start working, let us know, and then we'll work on a proposal, because our proposals are only good for 14 days. So we don't want to go through the work of doing a proposal if you're not really ready to start. And the reason it's only good for 14 days is because we have a lot of virtual teams, we have a lot of freelancers. We can't just hold time on people's calendars for 2 or 3 months while they think about it. I don't want you to think about it. I want you to make a decision. And it's really fascinating when you put some urgency into the situation, people actually decide. And sometimes the marketing person will go to their boss and go, well, you know, we've only got 9 days left on this, you know? And then they'll get an email saying, well, that proposal expires in 72 hours. You'd be surprised how many answers you get. And it keeps our production schedule predictable. That is my process, and maybe you can borrow from this, and I would love to take your questions.
Hello. Is the coffee shop process, do you use that for any size clients, or would you do that if you were working on a $100,000 website? Or
No.
would you organize something more elaborate?
No, so if we're organizing people that need to come in, nurses or something like that, we will either rent a facility close to their facility, or then the budget goes up, right? Your research budget goes up because now we have to schedule people, we have to pay them for their time, and it becomes more in-depth qualitative research. And that costs more. Right.
So we have another question from Twitter, and Igor Benic asked how to handle clients who don't understand the importance of content.
Yeah, so if someone wants to create their own content and give it to you, you typically need that before you start, right? You want to have that before you start building out. If you don't get that, you know you're going to be waiting. So the value of content is usually the value of the content and the content testing. It's easy to show them because what we'll do is I'll pull out something like a first draft from an old project and say, this looks good, right? Look at the feedback. Look at what real people said. They said it scared them. They said they didn't trust it. And who would have known? So show and tell helps. And then also knowing, you know, who your client is. You know, if you even say, we build this into every project we do, then that's one way around it. It's like, this is what it is. So you're paying for these 5 services when you hire us.
I was wondering about ongoing content creation, so blogs, and because it's really important, obviously, to create content regularly. Do you do that in-house, and how do you convince clients that they should invest in an ongoing content creation deal?
So having a monthly package of content creation as well as monthly website maintenance is a really good thing to try to sell in to your client during the process, right? So you might not convince them of that at the beginning because they're all focused on this website. But afterwards, when there is more excitement within the organization about the website, that's a really good time to, you know, say, okay, now we're building this website, there's going to be monthly maintenance, and have we thought about blogs? And let's start talking about the next stage of your website. That plugin Oasis workflow is used by a lot of multi-author blogs. So if they have employees that are interested in blogging, you can put together a package of training and this kind of thing. For some clients, we've written blog posts for them, or we've gone on Elance and hired writers. So there are a lot of different ways to do it. Clients that don't do it typically see a drop-off in traffic after the first 2 months, and they panic. So the question is, how do you create content in an industry you don't know anything about, or a company that you might not know anything about? So my view is that we've done enough research in trying to learn about the client up front that we understand something about their business. When you do this upfront marketing strategy, you will start learning about the company and who its competitors are. I haven't really had that challenge because if you're a website user, you don't know anything about the company either. So we have to write for that person who knows nothing about the company. I guess the short answer is research, or, I mean, if it's too complicated, like I don't do cardiac devices or medical devices. That's something I don't do. So, you know, knowing who my perfect client is.
I would say, according to my experience, the best way to create content is to know the field. The best way.
Yes.
And then to be able to simplify, to talk about your field in a simple language.
Right. And
That would be accessible to everyone.
And simplifying language is difficult, right? And that's work. That's
No
hard
more
work.
questions.
Bye-bye.